I will internalize it and keep thinking about it over and over and over and over and really just be sad, just be down. Hey y'all, it's your girl Funmi-Layo. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure to like this video because it helps other people to see the video, and make sure to subscribe because we have awesome content on this channel. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about fear and anxiety. So if you're not already familiar with my channel, I feel like I talked about this a couple times before, but sometimes I don't want to claim it, but my enemy gets like super fearful and just anxious and just thinking about the future, just a lot of anxiety, not like clinically diagnosed or nothing like that, but just, technically we all have different levels of anxiety, but it would just be a lot for me, overwhelming. And so, sometimes it would just be like super overwhelming and I'll just be in my thoughts. I'm somebody who is I'm a thinker. I overthink a lot of things. I overthink almost everything, and I'm constantly thinking, and that can be great creatively, but then also like depending on what I set my mind on and I'm thinking about, it can also be negative and not necessarily the best for me because it becomes worrying and fear and just not the most ideal type of situation. Think about just worried, anxious just about so many things, just getting anxiety for different things instead of just letting it go. I remember when I was younger, I used to just think about every possibility that could happen from something so that I could mentally prepare of what type of action I could take if this happens, or if this happens, or if this happens, or if this happens in like whatever particular example or circumstance or problem that I was facing, which is good technically because you're thinking everything through, you're trying to be prepared. But when you keep getting anxious about it and getting like super worried and getting anxiety about it, and it's just not a positive thing. It's not a positive thing. But growing up, when I was in college, I know like the anxiousness, the anxiety, it was really it got serious. It got really bad. But then again, I was dealing with real life stuff, so at the same time it's like, okay. But at the end of the day, I can't control the future. You can only do what you can do, and the rest you got to leave to God. But I remember even getting like panic attacks, and that was like, for me, you can correct me if this is wrong, but what I consider a panic attack is when you're having trouble to breathe, So I think I told you guys about that story, just having to like try to get my breathing under control, trying to get it together. But yeah, so the older I've gotten though, it hasn't been like that. But a lot of the time, if I'm not like, remember when I was in the basement, when I had moved back home and I'm just like staying in the basement, obviously I'm happy I'm with family, but I wasn't coming outside, so I wasn't getting sunlight. So I noticed that affects too, like get that vitamin D or whatever nutrients you can get from the sun, or just walking around, exercising, going outside, but it starts to affect you mentally. Like my mind was just, it just went too good. I had to start like walking on the treadmill and stuff like that, try to get some sort of movement. My mom would tell me, girl, come out. Like, why don't you want to do anything? But for some reason, I just didn't feel like doing nothing. I just didn't feel like, other than working. I was working, of course, but like other than that, I just didn't want to do, I don't want to do nothing. And that also factors in, I noticed like the foods that I eat, I know that can affect it. If I eat better foods, less anxiousness, less anxiety about stuff, versus certain like the sugary stuff, caffeine, especially some caffeine, it can really just I'll take a Red Bull for the taste because I love the Red Bull tropical can or whatever, the yellow one, and I'll take it at night just because it's so dumb, but I take it at night because I like the taste, and I'll be up all night anxious and just getting irritated and just like, oh my gosh, why did I do this, and just jittery, and your nerves just So foods I know can affect it, like the sugary stuff, the caffeine and things like, yes, I know that can definitely affect it. And like being able to like move around, if you're not moving around, getting no sun or nothing like that can factor in. Because I remember when I was right after I did the first 7-day fast that I did, if you haven't already seen the video on my channel, remember I was eating like super healthy. I was eating so healthy, and it really affected my mind. Like it tremendously helped me. You know what I mean? Like in general, it just helped me to be more calmer. Like obviously with the the anxiousness, it comes and goes. There are times where it's more anxious than others, just like everybody in life. But it's just that sometimes when I get anxious, I get really anxious. Like, even I remember there's a time where I got an opportunity, and it was around the time when I was living back home. I got a good opportunity, but it was two, and I had to choose between them or whatever. And I'm just like, I was just having so much anxiety around it, but it's technically a good thing. But for some reason, I internalized it as like, oh my gosh, I gotta da-da-da, oh my gosh, da-da-da, and it's just like, girl, just get it together and just be grateful. Obviously sometimes the anxiousnness will be over like, okay, real life is happening, but sometimes it's just like the way you internalize something. So I know that your thought process and taking captive of your thoughts is a huge thing and can be a huge help. And also like being mindful of like that one thought that can send you in a black hole to start just going mentally, just in terms of anxiousness, like, and just getting super worrisome and worried about the future. Because I know like sometimes it's weird, but sometimes I just think about like how life is so unfair, but technically life is unfair to everybody, but some people just really endured like significant hardships, especially like when I start thinking about like children, when people trigger warning, I guess, are harmful toward children. I'm like, dang, like people don't deserve this. Like, why is this happening in the world? Like, what the heck? Like, even watching the news, sometimes it can be tough because it's just like, oh man, like I don't like it too much, because I will internalize it and keep thinking about it over and over and over and over, and really just be sad, just be down in the dumps. But I'm trying to now actively learn how to still intake the information, but remove myself from it. Like, it doesn't, you know what I mean? Because it's not necessarily helpful. Me just feeling bad, what is that doing? That's not helping the people who are hurt. That's what I also was convicted of, that I need to do something. Don't just worry about it. Don't just be having anxiety about it and just be like, dang, that sucks. Like, man, why is the world like this, man? Everything's meaningless, whatever, help, So that's something that I'm learning, and I need to get on volunteering. I think I want to start volunteering. And I also think like helpful too, in a way, is YouTube videos. I feel like me making videos in a way is kind of helpful. Sometimes you guys tell me my videos are helpful, so yeah, But on a serious note though, yeah, I do need to look up like volunteering opportunities, or just something more that I can do, even if it's just like, if I have it at the time, to just donate to whatever cause that is just weighing heavily on my heart or something like that. I gotta catalyze the energy in some way. I have to do something. But if I just internalize it, that's not helpful to nobody. It's really just, girl, what? Like, But, also just in general, even like when I'm getting like anxious and worried about stuff, like it'll be like when I'm thinking also about the future too. Like when I think about like my loved ones, and just knowing how this world can be terrible, can also be beautiful, but it can be terrible. And just thinking like, oh, you don't want anything to happen to anybody. You don't want anybody to face any type of pain. You just don't want people to deal with certain things. And then if God blesses me with children too, just thinking of different things that could occur, and I had to relax. And stop that. It's still something that I do from time to time, but I had to just relax in general with like coming up with things to worry about and be concerned about, because it's like, it's not real. Every day, if you want something to worry about, if you want something to be anxious about, you will always find something. That's what I found. You will always find something. And I remember like, it's been times where I've been worried about something small that it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was really bothering me. Like, it really getting me worked up and everything like that. And then like something real life will happen. I'm like, okay, well, it puts things in perspective, So in general, we have to like do our best to pick and choose and take power over our thoughts and our mind and everything like that. And even with the news, and even with like in taking the news, it's like you do have to know what's going on, and for instance, again, trigger warning, police brutality, with what's going on in the news with police brutality, especially when it was there was a lot of stories, and there were what was it called? It was that time, I think it was during the pandemic. Remember when, people were marching and from the different police brutality occurrences that were happening and stuff like that. That was getting me down too back then. And then now what's going on in the media now with, I believe, Tyree Nichols, and it's like we're seeing these police brutality occurrences, and it can be tough to hear. And then there are also the videos and stuff. But at the end of the day, though, I had to think about it. It's like, sometimes I'm like, oh man, like, I don't know if I can intake this information right now. But I also try to think, like, what if that was like my loved one? You know what I mean? What if that was me? That kind of thing. So you would want people to know what's going on with you. You would want people to care enough, be able to do something. And that's why I get the argument that people make about the videos of police brutality, because it is traumatic. It is definitely traumatic and triggering to watch. I personally, as of this moment, I haven't seen the most recent one that I was talking about before. I haven't seen that, what all went down with that. But even though, like, who can handle it can watch it, but who can't, you can choose not to watch it. But at the same time, though, like, the fact that those people are able to capture the footage is why a lot of the times there can be change. So I still am like, I get it 100%. I get it 100%. And I think I was on one of the posts, and I think they said that the guy's family was saying, no, share this, like, so people can see, like, look what's happening, because it's very convenient. And sometimes I feel selfish like that when I'm just like in my moods where I just don't want to intake certain news and everything like that. I'm like, oh, it feels selfish to me, because I'm like, what if something bad was happening to one of my loved ones? And I'm not just talking about police brutality, I'm talking about just like news in general. I'm thinking, like, what if something bad was happening to one of my loved ones or something like that? And the visibility is helpful so that it can evoke emotion out of people, so that they can want to see change and encourage politicians or their government officials, whoever, to produce change or whatever. So it's a double-edged sword. So I'm still trying to figure out how to balance the two, in terms of like how much information, when to stop. Because, sometimes once you start, I'll be going into a black hole, and I'll look at video after video, different angles, different articles, similar stories, and it can just like, it can really break your heart. But it's good to know. You need to know what's going on. And it's also helpful to the family of those people. And it's also like, I also feel like with the whole fear and anxiety, it's also like when you're intaking the news, also know what's super triggering for you to watch and stuff, or for you to hear about certain stories. I remember, what did I hear? One of the news stories, and I heard it right before bed, and it's just, oh man, it took me out. It's just, some of the stuff that's happening in the world is, we just gotta thank God every day, because at the end of the day, and this is like the main thing for the video, is like, it's only God. It's only God that can help us. It's only God that can save us. It's only God that can control anything. We can't control everything. And even just with the anxiety in general, whatever's happening is going to happen. I think I was reading, what book was I reading? I think it was the 4 Agreements or something like that. And they were talking about how we like to like suffer ourselves, like, cause ourselves suffering, human beings. And it's so true. Like, there are natural consequences, but now we've added additionally our own to ourselves. And I was watching a YouTube video about it, like, why you want to suffer twice? Like, it's just wait till whatever happens, but just like be in the moment. And I know that that is personally something that I got to work on, is being more present, just being more in the moment and everything like that. But yeah, man, it can get a little bit iffy, because at the same time, like, there are benefits to the thinking things through, and sometimes fear can save you. You know what I mean? Sometimes being anxious about stuff can be an indicator that can cause you to avoid certain things, or it can cause you to make certain decisions that may work for your benefit. In case you're only listening and didn't see the captions on the screen right before when I was saying what I was saying. So I do want to clarify that I'm not saying that fear and anxiety are good things, but I'm just saying that those are the extremes of things that can actually work to your favor. So being able to assess danger and see that for what it is can work to your favor. Being able to be concerned about something can work to your favor. But the extreme of it is that fearfulness and that anxiety, which obviously is not, good. But then at the end of the day, it can also work against you. So yeah, but fear is not a good thing. God did not give us a spirit of fear, but yeah, man, I'm still figuring it out. Trying to take captive my thoughts, be mindful of how I feel, be mindful of how much information I'm intaking, and when I feel certain type of way, how I'm catalyzing that energy and breathing, just taking a breath. Sometimes when you're super anxious, you just gotta and just practice breathing. But another thing I will say that's also helpful for me, when I'm getting super wrapped up in my emotions or just going down like a black hole of fear and anxiety, I just getting escapism in a way. We're just watching a show or a movie that's funny, or just and just binge watching that. But that's not really productive, but that is fun. It's a good time. But also praying, just really praying to God, and that can be very helpful as well. Another thing that has really helped me has just been thinking about how the different obstacles and tests that are giving me fear and anxiety, how they're stepping stones for what I might have to deal with in the future if I become who I want to be and I accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish. Because what Drake say, more money, more problems, that kind of thing. So just anticipating that if I do reach the levels that I want to reach, it's going to come with some high stress situations that I will need to be able to act proactively. So in a way, I look at it like I'm trying to prove to God that, hey, I will be able to handle what I want you to give me in the future. And I'm showing it by being able to handle what he's giving me now. There's a verse about this. They talk about, being a good steward. So basically in summary, I'm just talking about being a good steward with what you have now to prove you can handle more. So that has been a motivator for me when I deal with stuff and real life happens, right? Because life happens to us all. And I am okay, I really just want to be down in the dumps. And I might just be down in the dumps for a while, but pick myself back up because I want to show God that, listen, I will be able to handle the stuff that might come in the future with everything that I want to accomplish and the person that I want to be. And I try to look at it life goes on and I can handle this. I got to be able to handle this. So that's another thing in addition to breathing that's, can help. But let me know, what are you guys' thoughts on fear and anxiety? How are you guys dealing with that? And just in general, especially even with the economy and with our finances and everything like that, there's definitely just in general with everything going on in the world, there's definitely some fear and anxiety around that. How are you guys coping and everything? But I think the best thing we can do is take it day by day. But then again, we do want to think so we can plan ahead. But definitely comment down below your thoughts and any recommendations or tips that you might have. And I will see you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.